Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Three Cups and a Dash of Spirituality. Today, we are going to hear about Michelle and Carissa's experience at the Sallie House. But, small disclaimer, the stories that are shared in this episode are subjective and based on shared experiences for entertainment purposes. And let's get rolling. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode, i.e. podcast of Three Cups and a Dash of Spirituality. I'm really excited today because I haven't even heard these stories, but Michelle and Carissa, who are obviously with me, are going to be talking about their experience at the Sallie House. And I wasn't able to go, which is the way the world works. But I am so excited because I have not heard the story yet. So I'm honestly just going to chuck the ball over to you ladies and let you arm wrestle who gets to share their experience first.
Let's start out with what was being pulled, who and why being pulled to this house. Let's start off because you and Bonnie was the first one, Michelle, right?
Right. Our friend Bonnie, who you'll meet in episode down the way a little bit, not too far. But she is a sage practitioner also. And we had been working together because we both have an interest in psychic investigation. And so we had been working together for a while, going back and forth, doing exercises to kind of hone our skills there to see what, we can do there. And she came across a podcast about the Sallie House. And she asked me if I'd ever heard of it, which I hadn't, but I quickly found a podcast. It was 3 episodes long. It was Astonishing Legends. If you all want to go check it out, great podcast. Again, a time commitment. But I listened to it and we decided we're going to go. It was originally just going to be the 2 of us, but then we went to a retreat in which Bo thought about it and she decided to join us. And then after some convincing, because it wasn't in a 5-star location or town, Carissa,
where y'all were going to sleep on the floor, and I was like, I don't think so.
Carissa's like, no, I need 5 stars or more.
Yeah, when I told her the Holiday Inn,
I need a bed.
Yeah, when I told her about the Holiday Inn Express, because that was like the nicest hotel we could find in town, you should have seen her face. And then she immediately went online and looked for bed bugs. I love you, Carissa. I would do the same thing.
To be fair, I would as well.
It changes as you get older, right? It does. Okay, so I came back from vacation this summer because I was like a dead no. I'm just not going to go sleep on the floor. And I came back from vacation. My guides were like, you're going to go. I'm thinking, okay. So I texted Michelle. I said, well, I'm going. My guide said, you're going. I said, okay. We then discussed how on the website it said, you're not allowed to clear. My husband's an attorney. He said, legally, you cannot clear it. And I was not into going to a house just to take footage of these stuck spirits that are trapped, right? Without clearing them out. So I sat down with my guides. I said, here's another caveat, I'm not going. And they said, well, we wholeheartedly disagree with this. We want you to go for the experience and you will not be clearing it. You will see when you get there. And then where do you want to go from there, Michelle?
And then it's like, dun, 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 dun. And I'm telling you that I have not yet shared my experience with many people in my life. Stacy's heard a little bit about it. I finally opened up to someone in my life yesterday, and the reaction I got is the exact reason why I haven't shared it, because I cannot put into human words what we experienced going into that house. And that house, for me anyway, it started reaching out to me like 6 weeks before I even got there. I was getting images of it. I felt a dark energy that would like descend down out of the ceiling. And I pictured us all in like raincoats, like as our protection, and an umbrella so it could just slide past us. So that was the first thing. And then reading the book, I had 2 or 3 other things that popped through that were coincidences or synchronicities. But they sure did feel like it was a house reaching out to me. Did the house reach out to you, Carissa, before?
I did tap in, and it felt dark. And my guides were like, no, we're not doing this right now. You're going to wait. And I was like, okay.
That was the child energy too, right?
That's right, I totally
Yeah.
forgot, and I said it was androgynous. I just saw the hair, and I said, "There is a child there, but it's androgynous. I don't know if it's a female or a male." But yeah, and I did see that.
Right. And so now we're in Atchison, Kansas, which is just a little town. It's a cute little town. It has a little farmer's market, which is really little, but it's that small town vibe, which was really cool. And I know, and I'll let Bo share what happened to her on the way there, but I know the four of us were in the car and I heard someone clearly say, "Can you even hear me?" And this was right a couple hours maybe before we went in to the house. We
Oh,
were
the
on our
cash
way.
registers, so when the check-in
We
time
were
was
yeah,
3:00, cash registers went down, internet went down. Then we're in the car, and no one was sitting in the middle of the seat in the back seat, and it's the seat belt started alarming going off. I have it recorded. I have something else recorded that I'll play, but it started going off too. And Bo was saying, 'cause she's done lots of these, going to all these, quote unquote haunted places. She likes to call them human zoo, which we can explain later why. And she said these kinds of things happen to scare you or prevent you from doing anything.
the interesting thing is, I'd heard that in the car. As Carissa said, we went to the Chamber of Commerce, which sells things for the Sallie House. It's kind of their visitor center. So we went there. We tried to pay at 3 o'clock, which is when we could check into the house, and all the cash registers went down. We could not complete our purchase. So we're already a little heightened walking out of there. And Bo says, "Before you get into my car, GCP," which again is ground clear protect. That's the Sage Methods ground clear protect. And we did. Now, ground clearing and protecting only keeps out what is not for your greatest and highest good. But all four of us did it. And as soon as we got in the car, and this did not happen on any of the other part of the trip, the middle seat was empty. And she started getting a continuous alert, beep, 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 saying that we needed to buckle that person in the middle of the seat, or in the middle seat, in the middle of the seat. I can't even
Yeah, yeah,
talk. And that only happened after we left the Chamber of Commerce. We went to Walmart to get some supplies. We got back in, it happened again, and then it was done. And so I've come to conclude, after thinking about it, that it was a guide or someone there to help protect us, because with all four of us GCPing the power around that to keep
Mhm.
everything out that wasn't for our greatest, and it had to be someone who was there to help us.
So then we
Okay,
get
then
into
Now,
what
the
happened?
house. Okay, then
what
we
was
get into
that,
the house.
Stacy?
She
What'd you
goes,
say?
"Now what happened? Then
And
what
then
What
what
happened?"
happened?
happened?
Well, Chris and I walked to the house, and Bonnie and Bo drove over. So they met us in the front yard. And while we were walking to the house, another sign or synchronicity, we walked by a Ghostbuster car.
Literally a Ghostbuster car, and on it, it said, "We believe in you." Or what it say, does it believe in you or keep
We,
doing
yeah, we believe in you, is what it said. And so we're like, okay, okay, they believe in us. So we picked up our pace and we walked a little faster and got to the house. And now we're entering the house.
which was heavy. It was just
Heavy.
icky and and I thought, well, maybe it's just because it's not really clean. Maybe there's bed bugs. I don't know. Anyway, go
Can
ahead,
you
say
explain
Mold.
that to Can you explain that a little bit better? So what does that mean? It was icky. What
like,
when you stepped
uh,
in, can you
It was
equate
like,
it to
when you
anything?
walk into a house that's warm and inviting and it feels good, and then you walk into a house where you're just like, I don't.
it was kept in the 1990s. That's when the Pickmans, who are the first ones that brought the Sallie House to the national stage, or so people knew about the fact it was haunted, it looked like probably their living room, or what their living room would have looked like. It was not in disrepair, but there were cracks in the wall. So that was what we're seeing, but what we're feeling is almost dread. It is so heavy, it is so stagnant, it's in the air, it's just surrounding you, encasing. Like, I can't think really of how to put it into words, but
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys, when we have talked about this in the past, like recently, whenever it's come up, one of the best visuals that I've heard one of you say, and I'm not sure who it was, is that it felt like walking through really thick mud or really thick, just yuck.
In the past, because I did do research about the Sallie House, I read the book, I listened to podcasts, I try to listen to videos, and I was very off put by one of the videos that I saw. It was two men who went into the house and they were taunting. They were being rude and disrespectful. And that is what I felt also. It's just everybody coming in with expectations in this house, just stuck there. And it did feel like walking or going through mud. It was very uncomfortable.
Yep. So we get in. The first thing that happens when we go upstairs is Bo's was pushed. Not like really hard pushed, but it's just like her feet buckled at the very top of the stairs. When we went back downstairs to read, because there was notes all over the house, it said someone had been pushed from the top of the stairs
into the railing, just like she was.
Yes.
It was almost duplicate, and Bo hadn't done any research. We hadn't read that.
Yep. The bathroom door opened twice downstairs on its own.
Yes.
Was it easily latched?
It just was shut. No one latched it. No one locked it.
No,
I asked.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I'm wondering if it's one of those weird sort of like shifting in the base. So I'm not trying to challenge you, but
no.
No.
Yeah.
So when we first got to the house, it's like two parts. We go into the house, we set up all of our equipment, then we go to dinner because Carissa gets hungry. I'm kidding. We were all hungry. But, and then we came back. And
what does setup mean? Like, what did you guys bring? Sorry to keep
the equipment.
No,
yeah,
thank you.
This
I'm
is
happy.
the first. Yeah, tell about the equipment. It was really cool. I want even more advanced equipment for next time.
Yeah, she's been sending me all these links to advanced equipment. We are going to be so prepared. We're going to have a videographer with us. I brought in a mag flashlight because, if you screw it just before it turns on, they can communicate with that. I brought, of course, my phone for photos and video. I did bring another camera, but I couldn't figure out how the technology of it worked, so I didn't use it. We had spirit boxes. We had what are those little things?
Rods.
The dowsing rods, but then the things that have the different colors.
EMF.
EMF.
Yeah, EMF. We had two of those. Bonnie brought crystals. She brought tarot cards. I had my Archangel Michael pin that I could use as a pendulum. What else did we have? Audio recorders. We had computers to record audio, to record anything that might be picked up. So we were prepared. We just didn't know how to use the equipment.
So at this point in time, you guys have gone in, you've set up, and then Carissa got hungry. And now you're back. So, okay.
That's when we go upstairs, Bo buckled. And then we're just going downstairs to, I don't know what machine it was to where they talk to you through it.
The spirit box.
Spirit box. Okay.
Yeah, so but before that happened, when we were still, because Bo's knees had buckled. And so it's been told in books that Sallie likes to play ball, and every once in a while, if there's a ball at the top of the stairs, it gets pushed down the stairs or it moves. So me being like, I need to document this, I was getting out my camera and I set my foot next to the ball. And I don't know what happened, but that ball got kicked, pushed, moved into my foot. And as soon as it touched my foot, I felt this thing go up and through me. I don't know how else to explain it, but
I was so mad because I saw her with her phone and I was thinking, great, she got that on video. No, she was about to take a picture. So we played with the ball again. We're like, okay, maybe it's the flooring. Maybe it's something. We tried pushing and moving. No, nothing. And I'm so mad that's on camera.
And we did find too that there were several times things would happen and we would try to get our camera out to take video and it would stop. So it's like it didn't want it on video.
It's true. That's true. I did get, when we were using the spirit box, we were taught, because someone supposedly was pushed down the basement stairs. We got a knock on, and I can play it for us later. We heard a knock on the basement door. Only happened one time. Our whole time was there. Didn't happen again.
Do
And
you
it was
have it easily accessible?
yeah,
Play
that's
it.
right here. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
super
I don't want to wait.
okay. It's super quick. Push you down the stairs.
Hold it.
Hold on, let me do it again.
What door did someone push you down the stairs?
Hold it. You ask questions. Work.
Did y'all hear that just then? You want me to go back?
Go back.
I'm gonna go back. Listen to the very it's when it was a hit on the basement door.
You ask questions. Work.
Did y'all hear that? Do you want me to do it again?
But I think that's because
I'm gonna do it one more time. It's right after you said you ask questions.
Work.
I'm gonna do it again.
You ask questions.
Boom.
Work.
Did you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
One and only time. That's when we were talking about someone being pushed down the basement stairs. Knock on the basement door.
And when we did the spirit box, we used the Estes method to do that, which means one of us had a pair of noise canceling headphones on, and they were plugged into the box. So the other three were asking questions, and one was listening and just saying what was coming through. So they did not hear the question. And so much came through that we started getting a feel for what was in the house.
Yep.
And it worked best. Sorry, it worked best with Bonnie listening or Bo listening.
Fast forward, we're upstairs in one of the rooms, not one of the kids' rooms. And I said, there is a guy here. He just walked in the room, and I'm seeing all this inside my head, not outside. Because he's a young, stuck soul to me. I said, he's trying to charm me. I definitely can tell he's some kind of not a good guy, right? Not a good guy. Michelle is connected to serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this guy more than likely is one. He is charming. He's trying to say me and him are alike. And he keeps showing me black boots. Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I'm just going to say I've never seen Carissa do this in all this time that I've worked with her. But she actually got up and went over to the door frame and stood like she could see him standing. And then she went through his personality traits as far as this is what he feels like. He's trying to charm me, disarm me, to be funny, but that's not really who he is. And then she starts describing him with the big detail being the black boots that he was wearing.
So then we all started researching serial killers in the area.
Yeah, killers in Kansas. And Carissa came up with one, and she's like, nope, doesn't look like him. And so on my phone, I'm doing my research too. And I just I didn't put anything about boots in. I put in Kansas serial killers, and a list came up. And I'm like, oh, this one seems right. Boom. I push on it, and all the pieces start coming together. It's
a personal experience. We are not here to offend anyone, hurt anyone. So we're not going to say this is 100% actual facts, because that's not the name of the game, is to harm anyone.
Well, this is based solely on the experience that you guys had. So
correct.
An experience is 100% subjective.
Yes.
Go ahead, Carissa.
Then Michelle, do y'all want to see his picture?
Well, the thing about him and why we started honing in on that was he was caught going to pick up his black work boots that he mailed to himself
after he killed the family, and the wife, the mother's name was Bonnie.
And we were there with a Bonnie. Bonnie's the one that got pulled to the house. Not only was her name Bonnie, but the murders happened on Bonnie's birthday.
Yes. And when Michelle, I think, pulled up his picture, here he is. Isn't he cute and a little charming? And no, I mean, Stacey's like, no. He does have No. What, Stacey, what's coming up for you? You're like, I don't think he's cute at all.
Well, I mean, physically, yes, adorable, like you said,
Adorable. Look at that word.
but,
Adorable.
stepping into that, even looking at that picture energetically, I'm going, nope, I don't want anything to do with this dude. So, yeah.
No, so that was the first few pieces that started to fall into place. But again, we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves in the experience. We wanted to stay open to all possibilities. But when it keeps presenting itself over and over and over again, that's where you go. And 4 of us there, we're great thinkers. We having our own experiences, but collectively, this is what we decided, or who
And
we decided.
there were others there. There was a young boy. I mean, there were other stuck souls.
And a female spirit, an older female spirit that talked to us, or through the spirit box.
Then there was another synchronicity where on the fridge there was a magnet, a Las Vegas magnet. And that's where he ran to after the murder. That
is where he was captured.
Now remember, this house is saying there's a little kid named Sallie. We all feel Sallie's been cleared. But with these homes, these quote unquote haunted homes, they'll say disclaimer, you can't clear, but it really doesn't matter, because if you clear it, it's just going to draw in more stuck souls. They're always going to be haunted.
Well, that's one of those things that you learn, though, too. I think we talked about this briefly, is that energetically souls are drawn to certain energies. So if you've got a haunted house or something along those lines, naturally a stuck soul is going to be like, I want to go there because that's where all the people are.
Yeah, especially if their intent is to scare people. They're like, zoop, they're beelining for that place. Yeah. So if you ever hear about places being cleared, don't worry, because you're going to have some experiences. So we then sat down. Well, there's more synchronicities about him, but I guess we can come back to that.
We can revisit those because it's kind of the whole experience that happened. We're going down a road like, this is probably who it is. And mind you, I don't have the notes in front of me, but Bonnie did take notes of the words that were coming through with the spirit box. And there's a lot of violence in those words. It's like bat, hit, lay. Like there was a lot that came through there that she has the notes of. I don't have those.
And it was really interesting because Michelle, later on, you read or heard how some people thought he was kind of psychic or a medium, and that he was also very charming and compassionate or empathic. I can't remember the word you used.
Right. I had never heard of these murders before. They're the Clutter family murders. There were 4 victims, a mom, a dad, a daughter, a son. But apparently there's a famous book written about these murders. It's called In Cold Blood. It's by Truman Capote. And it was, many people consider it the first true crime book ever written, but he did take liberties for it. So you've got to take everything he says with a grain of salt. But I'm doing that deep dive. I'm listening to podcasts about this family now. I'm reading this book. And in the book by Truman Capote, it does say that Willie J., who was an inmate of Perry's, said that he thought he had mediumistic qualities or premonitions about things that would happen. He truly did believe in fate. And with us, I will tell you, no matter where we were in this house, he was taunting us. Like, you guys think you're so badass. Yes. You're not touching me. You're not talking to the other people. He was very strong and adamant that we were fools.
So then we're sitting at the table, and it's a little before 1:00.
Oh, wait, can we go back real quick?
Yes, please.
The other thing about this house, and at least I think all of us experienced it, it is very triggering emotionally. And when we were upstairs in the little kid's bedroom, the little 7-year-old boy came in. Carissa was able to hold that negative energy in another room. And this little boy comes in. I felt him. Like, this is a house where you're going to see the hair stand up on your your arms. You're going to see goosebumps. You're going to feel it throughout your body. It just is that place. And upstairs, when he came in, I felt like he sat down on my lap, and I got super emotional because I am a mom of boys. And this is a little boy being stuck there. He's not able to cross to be reunited with his family. So I got very emotional at that point. It pushed my triggers, and it knew my triggers. Like I told you, it's been reaching out to me and I had to leave the house for like 10 or 15 minutes to just get out of that energy, to clear my mind. And it was very, very overwhelming. And then I came back in, and that's when we were at the table. Sorry, I had to share that part just because the house is triggering. Be prepared when you go in, protected, that it will push at the things you treasure most in life, or the things you've worked the hardest for.
Yep. And then we're sitting at the table, and mind you, I wanted to go home by 1 a.m. And everyone was like, the witching hours too, more stuff's going to start happening. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just thought of this too. When we were up in the room right before that happened, and that's the reason I went there and interrupted you before, through the spirit box, we heard the time 12 o'clock, or we heard the time midnight. It came through. So when we're down at the table, we're all like,
it was midnight.
Do we have to wait till midnight? It was before midnight, because it was like 11.
That's right.
And we're like, now do we have to wait here till midnight with whatever's going to happen? Is it going to get really active at midnight? We didn't know. So we're all sitting around the table. We're working with the spirit boxes. And sorry, now I will.
No, that I remember. Yes. And Bo said, an earth keeper just came through. Earth keepers are someone who, before they pass, say they want to stay in between to protect the land. That's what an earth keeper is.
Yeah, they kind of create balance too. Yeah. They're here for balance.
And she said an earth keeper's come through, and she asked Bonnie to just tap in with him, or him or her, we don't know, and hold space. And she just got really emotional and started breathing a little bit deeper.
And she couldn't move. That earth keeper was associated with Bonnie. When Bo felt that energy outside the house, she's like, it's associated with you. And then it was almost like, and like that quick.
And then all of a sudden the house was light and clear, crisp. Even the lights felt brighter. And Bo said, they're gone. Can you see how now we just feels like we're sitting in a house? And I just was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's what I was just thinking. Right before my grandfather died, a minister came in the house, and before he to talk to him and read him and help him feel comfortable before he transitioned. And before the minister left, he looked at me, he goes, there's so much beautiful energy in this house. Can you feel it? Like angels. And I remember saying, yes, I really can. And that's what it felt like in that moment. Like that earth keeper, what our experience was, the earth keeper came in and cleared it. And we were just sitting there witnessing it.
We got to be witnesses. And it was really interesting too, because two tiebacks to this earth keeper, I believe it was Native American earth keeper, Bonnie. When we had a previous meeting, her hand just started to doodle, and what she drew on her paper looked like a headdress of some sort. And she's like, is this connected at all, this place or the land, to Native American? So she already was thinking that. We just hadn't put all the dots together as to what that meant. And then when we were at the hotel, someone told me, they asked what we were doing. I said, we're going to the Sallie House. They're like, oh, these are the energies that could be there. And they did speak of a Native American too. We didn't feel one in the house. It definitely was something outside the house that was connected to Bonnie that came in. And I'll tell you, I've never seen someone sit that she couldn't move. And I reached out my hand. I'm like, it's here if you need it. I couldn't move my hand. I just left it there because it's like so intense in that moment. And the feelings she had coming through were that of wind and the element of wind. And I can't remember if she said another element or not.
So I know we're going to have her on, so I'm excited to hear her experience. But now that I've kind of actually heard the whole story, I have questions.
I hope we have answers.
Okay. Are you ready for my first question?
Yes, ma'am.
What is one or two things that really stuck out to you guys about this experience?
That we all needed to be there
Yes,
and
we
that we all
needed
participated on some level.
exactly. It would have been a different experience if one of
Mhm.
us wasn't there. It's like Carissa getting up and being able to see her or see him with her third eye and to give us such an accurate description as to what we were looking at. Me, who does have a connection a little bit to serial killers, and being able to put those puzzle pieces together. Bo recognizing that's Earthkeeper energy and explaining to us what that is. And then Bonnie, like she's the one that got us all there. And every step of the way, she was so supportive and feeling things and able to articulate. And it was pretty amazing. So that's one thing.
And I've
And
never been in a location before and after something has been cleared. Never.
so
Well,
that was
not
really
like
standing out.
I'm not a haunted house where there's that much activity. You know, I have where spirits come through because I tell my guides if I'm in meditation or my home is open for me to clear, but they're not coming in all the time. So that's different. It's walking into a house where they have been there a very long time and the house has got a bunch of them. And then all of a sudden they're gone. I've never experienced that before.
Anything else for you, Michelle?
For me, because I've heard it can happen, just having your emotions triggered or those things you hold most dear feel threatened and them using it again. I've never experienced that before. And I know when I was in the house, just keep your mind clear. That is what I kept telling myself. And several times people would look at me like, are you okay? I'm like, yep, I'm just keeping my mind clear, just trying to clear it out. I don't want family in here. I don't want friends in here. I just want to be here for the experience. And yeah, I
I love
never
that.
experienced that.
Okay. What, if anything, would either of you do differently?
Oh, I know what I do differently, and I have someone I'm gonna contact him and ask about what cameras. I would have a camera up the whole time because you would have been able to catch all the stuff we're talking about. The ball, there was a string that moved that we laid out. The
I have
knock on the
pictures of the string, not video, but I do have
door.
pictures of the string and how it was. So sorry.
And you would be able to see the whole progression of everything. So what I would do differently is to have more advanced equipment because some of the listeners maybe like me, like, come on, I want to see, I want to feel, I want to hear. That's what I would do differently.
What about you, Michelle?
Um, right in this moment, I can't think of anything I would do differently. I will tell you when I left the house, I left feeling changed. I went back to the hotel room and I used selenite to clear everything that went into the house. And honestly, that night, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to go into any haunted house with any sort of negative energy again. I actually deleted every single picture I took there, every single video. I didn't clear it out of my phone because the next day when I was feeling better, I pulled it all back into my camera roll. But I think I would just be a little bit more aware. I think I protected myself really well, but I think now that I have a little more knowledge as to what things feel like, it'll allow me to step into curiosity easier than fear.
I love that because you just walked into my next question.
Oh,
Were you surprised at your reactions?
I was. I mean, for
I was
me,
surprised we got anything. Honestly, I was like, we'll see. Like many noise and things.
yeah, we heard growls and things like that. I will say, when we walked into that house at 4 o'clock, there was more activity at 4 o'clock than there was later in the night, 10, 11, in that time frame. So walking in, it was just like a lot of activity. Now, what was your question again? Were we surprised by our reactions?
I was
Yeah.
actually surprised there was a lot of activity at 4 p.m. versus way late in the night.
Yeah. And I was surprised that it's taken me this long, like that I actually have to process through it, because when something happens to me, I'm jumping up and down. I'm sending you guys messages like, I had this experience. It was so cool. But this one I had to sit with. And I don't even think the day after, Carissa, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but I don't think any of us were in a space to go back into that house. I did walk by it the next day.
Yeah, and I didn't even want to talk about it for a few days. But
Yeah.
I will say, I'm ready for my next one. Like, I want it now. It's so weird. I really want the next one now. I want to do it again. I loved it. It was such a cool experience. And now I'm way more open to it.
What would you say is the most important thing you learned from this experience?
Go
Well, I
ahead.
think this experience really opened my eyes to what a human zoo feels like, spirits being like stuck there. And Carissa, you probably have a very good explanation as to what we mean by a human zoo. But I said earlier I was very distraught about two people who went in there and they were harassing the house. And all I could feel is like, give this house a break. Like, give these spirits a break. Leave them alone. Like, they didn't sign on every day to have people walking through to see what they'd experience. And I know they're on a different timeline, but it just felt exhausting and tired. And so I believe that I've heard the term, I thought I understood what it meant, but now I feel what it means.
Yeah, and these places where they say, oh, you're not allowed to clear, I don't think they realize that these are spirits that are confused and stuck and need help in transitioning. I don't think there's anything malevolent or bad or mean about these places that have that disclaimer. But you don't even need to put that disclaimer because, like I said, if you're advertising it and people are buying tickets and it's this in and out haunted place, there are so many stuck souls it's always going to be haunted. So you really, and I'm talking to all these owners out there that have these haunted places, you really don't have to put disclaimer, do not clear, because someone could clear it without even going in the house. You don't even have to be in the same location and it can be cleared. And it will always remain a place for spirits to come in and out.
That they'll actually be drawn to. They're
They'll
going to
be
be drawn
drawn
to
to.
because
Yeah.
you've given them this
energetic, yeah.
space.
Yep.
to-
There is no
be.
need to say you're not allowed to clear because people can do it that don't even have to go to the location. And it doesn't even matter because it's going to be haunted anyway.
Yeah, it really does feel like when the Earth Keeper came and he just took the land and went kind of like this, like you would shake a rug and, you know, the ripple effect and
Dusting off the rug.
Honestly, ladies, I think that this is like the perfect wrap up because that ends it on such a positive note. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I know in the upcoming episodes, we're going to have Bonnie in and we're going to have Bo in so that they can share their experiences and we can kind of pepper them with questions too. So with that, I think I'm going to say stay classy.
Stay sassy.
stay badassy. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.